it's Tamika, the face behind Hey HR. Listen, if you're an entrepreneur, you're starting your business, or even you have a small business and you're wondering, do I need HR? Then there's one sign that you probably should keep watching this video. So there are 4 big trending issues that entrepreneurs and small business owners always run into, because most times they don't have an HR department. They don't have an HR consultant. A lot of times folks feel like,
well, I'm in a position I really don't need an HR department.
And there's so many laws that do have a minimum number of employees before the law applies to you. So you're right. For quite a few things, you don't need that. For FMLA, for workers' comp, I mean, the list goes on. You're really not in a space where you're ever really worried about having that law to make you follow the federal guidelines. No, you don't need HR for those things. But there's some things that I know that you guys are a little probably overwhelmed with, or probably a little lost about, or probably wondering if it's even an issue, or probably walking by it every day and not realizing that it is an issue. And so one of those things is compliance issues. I-9s. You're like, what are I-9s? So I-9s are documents that have to be completed within the first 3 days of employment, and you have to use the E-Verify federal system in order to verify if this person is actually a U.S. citizen or not. And this is required. You do multiple trainings to always keep up with whatever changes come along with I-9s. The forms have been changing a lot lately. They used to say the same form for quite some time, but lately I think we've changed a form like every 2 years. This is something that an HR professional can help you with. Another thing is employee records. A lot of times when I did consulting on the side with businesses that are just getting into that booming area, I would get in and see employee files, and employee records are like scary. So some folks don't have files for anybody. Some folks have them at different color of files everywhere. You have different size of envelopes, different number of flaps inside. It gets crazy. And most people have everything jammed into one folder. That's not the way it should be. You should always at least have a confidential file. And that file should be one that only the employee and HR sees. But if you don't have HR, then it would be the employee and the business owner. So I would definitely tell you that employee files is a big area of compliance that entrepreneurs struggle with often. Another thing is employee law notices. Whenever there's an employee law change, most time there is a poster that needs to be posted in a common area of your workplace. And that common area is normally like your lobby or your break room. You would have it in that area so that you can feel that you have been transparent about this recent law change. Now, I won't go into details on every bit of compliance issues. I definitely won't go on every single one, but 2 more that entrepreneurs seem to find as a bit of a difficult spot is employee handbooks, as well as even benefit guides. Now, benefit guides aren't required, but employee handbooks can definitely save you from different avenues of litigation and definitely kind of structure your culture, help you retain employees. It's just so many different things that an employee handbook can do for you. Now, that's just a few of our compliance issues, but I can definitely tell you about a few more issues that entrepreneurs face. Either they realize it or they don't. So how about hiring issues or the recruitment process? I mean, the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs face is the diversity in their candidate pool. Sometimes when you go to a small business, you'll get there and everyone looks exactly alike. And that's a bit alarming, because now you're telling your customers that this is the only customer base that you want to come into your door. Another thing that you're saying is that you're not an equal employment opportunity employer. So those are quite a few things that you want to look at, is your hiring process and how diverse your candidate pool is. Another thing that I've noticed with entrepreneurs, particularly whenever I do audits at small businesses, is their application process. Sometimes there isn't one. A lot of small businesses have felt that Indeed is their only application process. Well, think about it from this point of view. If Indeed decides to shut down or get shut down for any reason, how do you have that information in hand? Whenever you don't have your own process, something that you can manage yourself, you're at the hands or the mercy of that company. So you always want to be careful. What if they made a change that you didn't like? How do you get that change? What if they decided to delete some information that you felt was useful to you, but they felt wasn't useful to them? So those are some of the things that you want to look at with the application process, because a lot of different job posting sites are allowing applications to be embedded in their job postings to make it so much easier for you. And so many times entrepreneurs feel like, well, we'll just use this as our employment application. But how are you certain that it's covering all legal ramifications that you need? Like, how do you know that you're not hiring someone that's disabled and may need accommodations? How do you know that you're not hiring someone that is a veteran and has some protected class issues that comes along with their employment? Those are just some things that you can't control whenever you're using a job board to decide to use that as also what we call an applicant tracking system. So another area that entrepreneurs struggle with is salaries as well as their benefits package. And one thing is that we tend to go off of what we think we should be allowing someone to be paid, or what we think the salary or the hourly rate should be for this position. And we don't do what we call a salary compensation review with a third party outside of your organization. Sometimes we miss on when there's changes in that salary range. Do we know that we're being competitive where they're not leaving to go to somewhere else for only 50 cents or $1 more? Do we know that what we have given is not something that is making our employees feel stagnant and not able to be as productive as we'd like them to be? Well, it's always helpful to get a compensation review done outside, or have an HR professional inside that can help you with that. They can pull those resources, kind of see what the data really looks like, and give you what your salary ranges should be on factual data and not just what we assume. And a lot of times, because small businesses or entrepreneurs have not met the threshold to get into what we call big market pricing for benefits, then they fall into the smaller market. The premiums are super expensive for employees. They're super expensive for the employer. Do we even need to offer certain things? You're not sure. Are there things that maybe is a little bit cheaper and something that would retain our employees better, but we're paying a whole lot of money for something else? You're not sure. Well, when do we go out and we're able to get those discounted rates? You're not sure. That's where HR can help you get contacted with a benefits broker to help you leverage that information out and get all of your pricing together to see what works best for you and your organization. Now, the final issue that I notice with entrepreneurs and small businesses is their culture. A lot of times we start with family and friends that help us build this business, and as a result, those folks have been there like 20 years, and then we start being super duper successful. We're bringing in new people, and that person totally feels like the outsider. Or maybe we're noticing that all the new people, they're not ever staying. Like, they're just here. They're just a rotating door, never here. Well, that's not a good thing. That means that your culture is not a healthy one. So culture issues are huge for entrepreneurs. A lot of times it's difficult to retain new employees because we've gotten so used to what we've been doing from the time that we started that we build a toxic relationship. We have a toxic environment. Employees tend to feel unappreciated, and as a result, they quit. And maybe we thought we knew what their job should be. We looked at their resume and saw they could do some other things, but we didn't bother to tell them to do those other things. So now that person doesn't even feel challenged. They want to feel like they are actually bringing value, and we haven't looked at that. Another reason why it turns into a toxic environment, and you have employees that quit. Along with retention, there's also job security, and that's all the same thing. I mean, employees tend to leave because they don't feel like their job is secure. Sometimes they're not really feeling like it's secure because they lack a number of hours. Maybe we feel uncomfortable adding on more hours. Maybe we always thought that this would be a part-time position, not realizing that maybe it should increase a little bit more. This person's overwhelmed during these part-time hours. In addition to that, maybe our benefits package just isn't as attractive as we thought it was, and we are saying, okay,
the employee's not buying the benefits. They're not wanting to elect them.
Well, it's probably because it's way too expensive. Your salaries are low, and they don't even feel comfortable in your workplace. HR is here to help with all of those things. If you don't get a full-time HR person, look into an HR consulting agency that can come in, do an audit, and help you in areas of concern. You probably don't need somebody every day, but definitely look at an HR consulting group. So y'all know at the end, I always try to give you guys some tips, and I just ended with one of my tips that I wanted to carry into this segment, which is what can you do if you're an entrepreneur or a small business and you don't have the capacity to add on a full-time HR person? Well, first you want to find an HR consulting group. Reach out to some of your friends or some other companies that are a bit bigger than you, or go to some small business events or join in on webinars and try to get into that lingo to see what companies have just branched into adding on HR consulting group. You can also literally just Google them. But you want to look at their reviews. You want to see if this is one that's going to definitely work for you. You want to interview them just like they want to interview you. You want to look at the cost. You might even want them each to do an audit of your organization and see what their results come back as to what they think they can do to benefit you and leverage your organization up. So another resource that entrepreneurs can use is go to local law firms. A lot of times they have different things called breakfast briefings or just meetings for the public and other HR professionals. Join in on those meetings because they go through a lot of examples of cases that they've had which can help you prevent litigation in your organization. And my final resource for you is go to local SHRM meetings in your area. They're always open to welcoming any guests in, and it's not just for HR professionals, it's for anyone that needs this knowledge. So join in on that meeting and learn the different trending topics topics that you need to know to protect your organization. So thank you so much for joining in on another Hey HR video. Guys, if you want to see more of this content, if you're like, Lord, there's a whole lot that I just don't know, please hit subscribe, click on the bell so that you don't miss upcoming videos. But if any of this intrigued you to any point, then definitely just do me a huge favor and hit the like button. Thank you. Hope you're able to watch another video. Till next time.